Yep. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we learned all important string functions. I asked you to try one regular expression example. Have you done? Able to do that by using the method match? We have write a regular expression that verifies the format of mobile, right? And generally, when you write expressions, I already told you, when you write expression, start with exponent and you will have your expression 0-9. How many digits? 10. And after that, you have to end the expression with the dollar. Every expression that you write, it must have a start and an end. Already in the meta characters list, I given start with, end with. End with is defined with dollar. Start with is defined with exponent. Right? If it is plus 9, 1, 10 digits, then you have to use slash plus and all. Every expression must be in double slash, and expression should have a start and end. Right? That is very important. Once you know this, means how we can handle different string functions. So in the JavaScript data types, we say primitive data types. Till now we learned about a number, another one a string. Now in the JavaScript data types, primitive types, we have others. After understanding number and string, another simple option is what? Boolean. We have another important type, that is a Boolean type. Right? How do we do the Booleans? Generally, what is the concept of Boolean type? Why you need true or false? Condition. So actually, Booleans are used in decision making. In computer programming, we call it as decision making. In computer programming, decision making is done by using Boolean. So decision making means whether to continue or not, which one to execute, this or that. All such decision making happens by using a Boolean. Right? Generally, if anyone asks what is the purpose of Booleans, the correct technical point is it is used in decision making. Actually, Boolean types in JavaScript can handle the keywords. So they can handle the keywords true and false. Boolean types in JavaScript can handle the keywords true and false. We have simple true and false, but one point is Boolean conditions in JavaScript can manage using 1 and 0. Using 1 and 0. Boolean conditions in JavaScript can manage using 1 and 0, where 1 is equal to true and 0 is equal to false. But we always recommend to use the keywords true and false. So we always recommend to use the keyword true and false. But JavaScript can handle true and false by using by using 1 and 0. 1 and 0. You can do that. So technically here recommended is true false. Suppose see, I am using a boolean here. Let's say boolean. Okay. And I am writing here script. And in this script, I am defining, suppose var some stock. And I am using a boolean true inside it. But while verifying, I can use if stock is equal to 1. That is the sentence I given there. Means what I given in definition, I given that Boolean types can handle the keywords true, false, but Boolean conditions can manage using 0 and 1. That means 1 means what? 1 means true. If it is true, then document.write, I will say stock available. Otherwise else, I will say document.write. So we will say out of stock. Like this we are defining. Then see, I'm not using the keyword true false for verification. Verification is done by 1. It works fine. There is no problem. JavaScript can handle. Suppose if stock is set to false, then it will display as out of stock. So Boolean values are defined with true, false, and Boolean conditions can use 0, 1. But it's not recommended. We don't recommend this. But many our developers have an habit of setting equal to 1. Their intention is to tell that it is true. But it is not a good coding technique, but it will work. In several interviews when you attend, they will give you such technical things like in interview questions, they ask true plus true is equal to how much? What will be true plus true? It will be 2. In JavaScript, it will be true. Why? Because it uses true as what? 1. So it will implicitly not concatenate. It will implicitly do arithmetic operation. So that is the reason sometimes our answers will fail because we think in a different. Actual concept is this, right? They use true. For example, so true plus some 10 will be how much? 11. Suppose true plus A will be how much? It will be true A. Because anything you concat with string is a string. It will not convert anything to number or also. Anything you concat with a string will be a string. Right? Any value you concat with a string, right? It will be string. For example, if I defined true minus, so true minus true is equal to how much? It will be how much? 1 minus 1, na? So that means it will display how much? Not 0. Huh? Not 0. So why? Because here, see, I'll just give you the points here. See, document.write true plus true. I'm using this. True plus true, that means it will return 2. I'm using suppose true minus true. That means we are using the subtraction. That means it will say 0. Right? So for example, so you are doing any other arithmetic operation. Just I told you true plus A. Am I right? And it is going to display as what? True A. Right? These are, when you do any arithmetic operation, it will treat as numbers. Any arithmetic operation you try to do, so it treat as numbers. So always use true false keywords only. Don't use 0 or 1. 0 or 1. They will work with 0, 1, but it is not good coding. I already told you good, bad code, right? So syntactically, it is like this. So syntax, we have var stock is equal to true. And if stock is equal to 1, it is saying document.write available. And else it will say document.write out of stock will be in this way. But this is not good. So always try to use. So is equal to the good of parent. But always we use comparison. So this is a thing. That means how to compare booleans. So in the primitive types, we are having number, string, and boolean. We will use later in some examples how to handle. Next, important in the data, we have another important data type, that is undefined type. In the primitive types, number, string, boolean, and undefined. Actually, undefined is nothing but undefined. It refers to a memory where value is not defined. It refers to a memory where value is not defined. That means memory is allocated, but value is not present. And if you try to use it, then it will return as what? Undefined. So you can use undefined keyword. You can use undefined keyword to verify value in memory. You can use undefined keyword to verify value in memory. Whether there is a value or not inside the memory, you can verify by using undefined. That means you declared some memory, you are not storing any value, and you are trying to use it, then automatically it will be defined as undefined. For example, see now, here I am writing like var x, value is not there, document.write, and I say here x equal to the value of x. There is no value and you are trying to print it, then automatically it will return as undefined. It will return as undefined. So it will not show any error. It will automatically put undefined. So compiler of JavaScript is going to verify whether there is a value or not. Generally in other languages, they have default values, right? But in JavaScript, the default value is always undefined. So in other languages, integers, sometimes they store 0, right? Fractions, they store floating 0.0 like that. But here, anything memory is there, value is not there, then it is recognized as undefined, right? So suppose how to verify that, for example, see var price, where suppose I said name, some string, and var price and some empty, document.write, and we are printing some name, whatever name is present. In the next line, price and whatever price is present. Like this we are defining. Now you see price is not defined, then it will return obviously undefined. If price is not supplied with value, we don't want to print it. We want to print it only when there is some value. Then you can try logic like this. You can simply write if price is equal to undefined. Undefined is a keyword. It is a data type. By using that keyword, we can verify whether value is there or not. So if value is there, if value is not there, undefined means not there. If value is not there, then print document.write, then print only name. So we will print only name. Else, we will print both details, name and price. Understood the logic? That means if value is present, then what you do? Print that name, price and name. If no value is not present, don't print it. That is what undefined is. So you see now the price is not printed because it is returning undefined. So what we will do now, we will put some price and you can see that automatically it is going to print that price. So if it is undefined, then it will not print. It is not going to print. So whether value defined or not, how to verify? By using the keyword what? Undefined. But again, in software development, this is not good coding. This is not good coding. Developers are not satisfied with this. That means I already told you, hundreds of techniques are there to achieve a task. Right? In software programming, hundreds of techniques will be there. Different ways you can try to achieve what you are looking for. But what is the best one developer have to pick? Which is easy to understandable for compiler, which is fast in processing and improve the performance. These three are the major things. Otherwise, your code will execute successfully, but it will take time. Right? And application should not take time. They should respond fast. So that is the reason. So when you are learning any technology, different faculty will tell different techniques. Right? All are correct. Only the point is, according to the situation, which technique is fast, we will implement. Right? We will not say that this is wrong, this is correct. We will say that for this situation, this is correct. We implement according to that situation. So this is not great. Why it is not great? Because what I am verifying? Price. Verifying whether it is not defined. Means I am verifying that if price is not defined, then don't print. Why you are negatively verifying? You have to actually verify, is price defined now? That is the correct way. That means will you verify negative or positive first? That means always positive. Why you are verifying not defined? Verify defined. Is there any option to verify is it defined or not? So there is no keyword for that. It's very simple point is this is okay. This works fine. I will give you this example here. First, I will just give a syntax here. See, where x and we say document.write x is equal to plus x. What it is going to do? X equal to what? Undefined. That is basic. Undefined. Okay. Example, I will first give this one. This is an example. I will upload this. Here, if price is not defined, then we are verifying as undefined. Now, observe carefully. As I told you, this is not good code. How to verify is it defined? How to verify is it defined? Simple. You have to write a if condition and put price. That's it. This will return true if there is a value inside price. This is the right way of verifying. This is called good coding. The previous one also okay works, but that is not good coding. So it will work. Some people may write like that, but we prefer this one best. Why? Because if you simply pass a memory, if condition can verify is there value in that or not. That's very good. That means you don't need to use any keywords. Just you have to say if price means, what does this means? Price is having a value. If price is having a value, then print it. Document dot write. We have to print both details. One is name, another I will give name. In the next line, we want to print price. And that is price. If it is not there, if price is not defined, then print only name. That means document dot write, we have to print only name. This is another concept, and you can see it is not printing that. And if the price is defined with some value, so if it is defined some value, and you can see it is going to print it. Same concept, but this time we are not using undefined keyword, because undefined is reverse way you are verifying. You are using a negative verification. So this is the best option. Huh? So here modes. Yeah. You can verify value in reference using simple decision making statement. Making statement. Making statement. So we can simply write like this. So if X, what does this means? This indicates that X is defined with a value. X is defined with value. That is a simple decision making, right? So this is example. I will copy that example. The same concept, but previously we used undefined keyword and we used condition. So undefined indicates whether value is defined or not. Now in some interviews, they ask a question like this is like, what is difference between undefined and not defined? Are both same? What is difference between undefined and not defined? Are both same? They are not same. What is difference between undefined and not defined? Actually, see now. Difference between undefined and not defined means undefined refers that value is not defined. Not defined refers that the memory reference is not defined. The memory reference is not defined. Memory reference not defined. I will give examples so you understand. Suppose I am using var x and document dot write. I am printing x equal to the value of x. In the next line, y is equal to the value of y. I am writing like this. I am writing like this. What is the value of x? value of x is undefined because there is no value na. There is no y at all. We haven't declared any memory by name y and you are using it. Then it returns not defined. Now it says that y is not defined. Y is not defined means the y reference is not available. X is undefined means x reference is available, but value is not there. Understood? Not defined means reference is not there. Undefined means value is not there. Value is not there. Undefined refers to value and not defined refers to memory. It refers to memory. That is important here. Actually, suppose you see now here, I am writing the same. Here I am writing the same. And when I run this, let's go to the console, inspect and go to the console. In the console to check the errors, it is why not defined. So not defined and undefined little variation is there. So not defined is about reference and undefined is about value. There is a reference but value is not there. Then it will return as undefined. There is no reference at all. We are trying to use it. Then that is what not defined. Not defined. That is very important. So you need to understand these 2 points. So not defined and undefined. So what it will return? X is equal to undefined and y is equal to y is not defined. That's the concept. That is undefined. Now another important is, so here we are declaring something like this. You see now, I am declaring x. Now the question is, when you are expecting value into x, you are saying value is not there. When it is expecting value, who is expecting value? Compiler. When it is expecting at the time of compiling. At the time of compiling, compiler sees that there is a memory, but there is no value. Then what compiler is going to do? It will put undefined. That means compiler is going to assign undefined at the time of compiling the code because it doesn't see any value inside it. But see what I am doing now. I am writing prompt and I say enter x value. Now compiler see that you are not defining a value, but it see that you are mentioning prompt. That means it is expecting value at runtime now. Because prompt is at runtime now. That means at runtime, x is expecting value. Then compiler will not put undefined. Compiler will wait until runtime. And at runtime, if you don't supply value, now what compiler will do? No, it will put as null. Understood? That means at compile time, value is not present. Then it will put as undefined. At runtime, value is not defined. Then it will put as null. So null is always a exception which occurs at runtime when it is not supplied. Null is always an exception. That means it is always runtime issue. If you get null, that not supplying a value at the runtime. At compile time, they are not supplying value. Compiler will put it. But you return prompt or you return some text box. Then it thinks that, okay, value will be supplied later. And later if value is not supplied and you are trying to print it, then it will put null. Right? For example, now here, I will refresh this. And I'm not getting any value. I click cancel. Cancel value is not supplied. If value is not applied to x. X is empty. Usually I showed you here, already I showed you prompt now. Because null is not printed. It will not print the null. Here I show you prompt. Remember, enter x. And if I click on cancel, it is going to return null. It is going to return null. So we will verify this. If x is equal to null. If x is equal to null, then we will put a message saying the document dot write x value not provided. That we are giving. So else it will into that. I explained prompt na. Prompt it return null when you click cancel. It will return empty blank string when you click OK without entering anything. You entered some value, it will return the value. We return that condition also in prompt concept. That means now you see here when you and you click cancel, returns null, and we are writing a condition for null, x value not provided. And I click some value, then it will get the value and display. Right? Generally, to verify value supplied or not during runtime, you have another type. What is it? Null. We have undefined. What is difference between undefined and null? Undefined is at compile time and null is at runtime. So null is a type configured for memory reference when value is not provided during runtime. So it is verified by using null keyword. It is verified by using null keyword. It is verified by using null keyword. So where x is equal to prompt, enter number, and x equal to null when is cancelled. So that is just a comment condition here. When prompt is cancelled. Already prompt example I given with null concept on. So at the compile time, if value is not provided, then it is going to return this. So this is number string and null. Begint already I explained. Begint is defined with n as suffix. How to use safe integers, right? That is a begint. That's I told you that new data type, right? Next important is in the data types, you have a new data type called symbol. But to understand symbol, so you need to learn a concept called object. Later when we learn object, we will discuss this more detail, but you can understand, I will give a basic point. For example, actually this is a new data type. In JavaScript, the new data type is symbol type. Generally, I will explain this in a simple concept. For example, you know, in your technologies, you have a for where I equal to some 0, I less than 10, some I plus plus. Generally, we write a for loop, am I right? Usually, what this for loop will do is, it will iterate 10 times, right? From I value 0 to 10. It will iterate 10 times, it is going to do. Now, how it remembers that it is first time or second time or third time? That means the I is incrementing. Now the question is how this for is going to remember that first time is completed. This is second time. Second time is what? First time I value is how much? 0. 0. Second time it will be 1. Where it is stored? Second time I value is 1. Where it is stored? Third time it will be 2, 3, 4, 5. It will store all those values and it will finally print those values. Right? And where it is storing these values until it prints them? That is, in the background, it uses a type called symbol. Symbol is a hidden type which will not display to you, but it contains some value in the background. It will keep all your values in the background, and whenever you want, it can show it. That is the symbol. Every technology in the world, in the background, have to use some hidden fields to store the values, any looping statements or anything. That means in the background, some value is stored. That means it is a symbol. Actually, it is available in the JavaScript from beginning of JavaScript. But recently, they made it available to public. That means, see, you are learning Java. That means you are not learning how to build Java. You are learning how to build applications using Java. That means you are using libraries, na? Who built them? So some architects built that library and given to you. You are just using that library. And do you know, architects who build the library for you, they know more language than you. And what language they know, that is not given to you. Because if you know that language, you can hack their applications. Understood? Any technology you are learning how to use the technology. But the technology is built with some language which has very depth. That language depth is not given to public. Public is given with only fur. How the fur works in the background, that is architects. And for that, they have internally some more types, some more concepts, which are not exposed to developers. We don't give to developers. Java people don't give so many things to Java people. They will say that you use this library enough. They will not tell completely about what that library is built with, what it is using and everything. Because if you know that, then you can hack their applications easily. So why our applications are hacked? Because somebody knows the architecture behind it, the loopholes behind it, and he can crack that application. Others cannot because they don't know what is behind. Right? That means every technology in the background uses so many language concepts which are not given to general public developers. So that is the reason whatever you know is not complete language. Suppose like Java, C, C++, .NET and every technology, do you know, to learn completely everything they designed, it will take years of time. Years of time. Right? But the concept here is we are learning only what is given to us. Behind it, so much is there. And from behind, sometimes what we are using in the behind are very much required for the front end also. Then we ask those people that please give this option to us. We will ask them that please enable this option for us. Then they will say that, okay, is there any security issue for this? There is no security issue. Okay, we will give it to you. If we give that option to you, then you can build your own. You know, people call open source. Huh? Open source means what? Open source means you can use how they given to you, or you can customize according to your requirements. So that means for customizing, you should know what is behind it, right? And symbol is such option. So symbol is a new data type for developers in JavaScript, but it is already present in JavaScript from beginning of JavaScript. It is just given to developers newly, right? That is the reason. So symbol is not a new data type of JavaScript. It is made as a new type for developers from ES6 and higher version onwards, right? And what is the specialty of symbol is it is used to configure a hidden key. It is used to configure a hidden key for object. The hidden keys are ignored over iterations. The hidden keys are ignored over iterations. The hidden keys are ignored over iterations. But they are accessible individually. The hidden keys, they are accessible individually. As I told you, for that you need to understand object. So symbol is a new data type of JavaScript for developers from version ES6. Is a new data type for JavaScript for developers from version ES6. I will tell a real-time scenario here, just a simple example I will show you where hidden concepts are used, right? See here, suppose I'm using, I'm just using here. First, I will give a page. We have a form. We have a data list data term. So username. So we have some username, okay? And data term is input type is equal to text. And a name as username, okay? And we have another data term age. And data definition is input type is equal to text or number. And we have name as age. And we have a submit button. So this is some update button. And this is having some value, some John, and this is having some value as 22. What is the concept here is we designed an update form. We created one update form. In the update form, we are having data definition. Yeah, we are having an update form like this. Update form is nothing but they can make the changes and update. So what are the changes? So name and age. Now the question is, generally in the database, you have database. So here lot of users are present. All the users information is present. In that, whose information we need to update? John. That means when you post these details, how it will update that user details? How it will select that user? It cannot select by name because same name users may be so many people. Na? And do you know in databases, they use a primary key, right? They use a primary key. Primary key is an unique. It is a unique reference key. They use a primary key. That means what? How they write in the database? Roughly I'm giving update table. Am I right? Update table with what? Name, age. So name and age where ID is equal to someone. Just rough point I given. That means now what happens here is we are asking to update name and age for the person whose ID is 1. but you are sending only name and age. Where you are sending ID? Then how it knows? Point understood? That means you are sending only name and age. You are not sending ID. Then how it will update? Whose details it should update? That means now in the form, I don't want to show ID because that is none of their business, right? They don't need to edit ID. They don't need to see ID, but ID must be submitted. How it can happen? That means you will not show a field, but you will submit a field. How you will show? You will not show a field, but you will submit a field. Very simple. What you can do is here, I am writing a simple data definition. We will use input type as hidden. There is a hidden field. In HTML, we have a hidden field. Now this hidden field will have a name as user ID and will have a value as some John underscore NIT. That is his user ID, which may be a unique ID for him. For every user, one unique ID we give that. Now see here, when I open the form, in the form, there is no user ID. But I do some modification. Age is 23 and I click on update. When I click on update, you can see that user ID is submitted. But user ID is not shown. That is the concept of symbol. That means what is symbol? Symbol purpose is it is used to configure a hidden field so that it is present, but it will be ignored in visual, but it will be used independently. That means when you are accessing through iterations, collectively everything you are accessing, then it will say that I don't have any ID. But individual, if you access ID, then it says that, okay, this is the ID. That means there must be some field which should be hidden, but it should be available to use. That is the concept of a symbol. This is the concept of hidden fields, right? Hidden field. That means this symbol is used to configure. So a hidden key. So it is used to configure a hidden key. That hidden key is ignored over but accessible individual. I will show you the concept here. See, because as I told you, you need to learn about object concept. In next levels, you will learn about object concept. As of now, just see the topic. I will give here an example. This is for configuring hidden field in HTML form, not symbol, in HTML form. Okay. This is the example. This is an example for configuring hidden field. How you do in JavaScript, I will show you. See now, we have a script. We are creating an object. I will give an object like user details. User object contains some fields. I am writing in a block. It have a field called username and which is some John. And it have some age and colon. It is having some number. Now we want to access all the fields. Just roughly see, I'm using for var property in user. So we are reading every property of user, document.write. We will print the property. I'm writing a small logic to read all the properties. And you see it will return the properties username and age. So how many properties are there? 2 properties. But one property I will give here. Another property is user ID. And user ID is John underscore NIT. And this property is also displayed. But I want it to hide. Means I don't want this property to be shown. but it should work. Then what we do is we don't declare like this. Then what we do is we create user ID as symbol. We create user ID as symbol type. Symbol is a new type. And symbol types are defined in square brace. In the square brace, you define user ID and whatever the value that is there. That means you create a key that is primary key actually now. You create a key by using symbol and you apply that key in a square brace. You have to apply the keys. And observe carefully now, when I refresh, user ID is hidden. But we will try to access independently. Document.write. So what is the object name? User. User of what? User ID. That means we are trying to access that key. Then you can see that user ID is coming. That means a field is present. It is independently accessible, but it is ignored over iterations. That means collectively, if they are trying to access it, it will skip it. It will say that there is no ID, but it is present. It is hidden. We can individually access and do the manipulations. So this is very important. We don't have this in early JavaScript, right? The new JavaScript have a type called what? Symbol. And symbol is used for configuring hidden fields. Those hidden fields will ignore in an object. Actually, this is an object type. Later you will learn about object type, but to show you the concept, I given this example. Okay, I will copy this example for you. But as of now, you don't need to work on this. Later, while learning object, you will understand. I will give a basic syntax first here. The syntax is simply like this. Where, so key is equal to symbol. We have to just use symbol. And where obj is equal to, it is an object. In that we have to mention in square brace key and colon value. Some another one is say some name and some John, something like this. That is a unique key actually. You can access obj of key. Like this you can access. Can access the value stored in key reference. The reference. So that key is not accessible over iterations. When you are doing iterations, it is not accessible. Iteration means loops and iterations you can create with for, while, do while. Later I will show you when we learn about object. When you are using loops and iterations and reading all properties, it will skip it. Any symbol field will be ignored over iterations and loops. It is accessible only independently. It is accessible only individually. Over iterations and over loops, when you try to access, it will not allow. It will simply skip that. This is the example program for that. So you will able to do this in the next levels, right? But just to make you understand, I given a small concept, right? I hope you are clear, right? So what is the purpose of symbol? To configure a hidden key. Hidden keys are nothing but hidden keys are displayed, hidden keys are present in an object, but they are not used over iterations and loops, but they are accessible independently. Generally, we want to send some details hidden. So then we can use these symbol types. Symbol, that is important. This is all about primitive types. We have a number, we have a string, we have a boolean, we have a undefined, and we have a null, we have a big int, big int, big int I discussed in number only, right? And we have what? Symbol. These are all the JavaScript data types, old, new, everything. That means this is advanced JavaScript related types, primitive types. Symbol comes under the category of primitive. Next important is we have non-primitive types. Non-primitive types. So all these points are related to primitive types previously. What are primitive types? I told you some points about primitive types. What are those? Primitive types are immutable. They are stored in a memory stack. That means they cannot change the structure. They have a fixed range. But non-primitives are not like that. That means non-primitive type. So it is non-primitive type. They are mutable types. So that means they don't have a fixed range and structure. So it changes according to memory available. It is stored in it uses memory heap. That is not a memory stack. Stack uses last in first out, and heap means there is no order. That means you can access from any location. That means heap will not have any order of access. Heap will not have any order of access. Memory stack have an order, last in first out mechanism it uses. So they are mutable types. They don't have a fixed range and structure. That means it changes according to the memory available, varies according to the memory available, and it is stored in memory heap, right? So the JavaScript non-primitive types are, we have an array. So we have an object, we have a map. Actually earlier we used to have a set type, that is outdated. We don't use that anymore. So I will ignore the outdated concepts, but still in online websites you may find them. We don't care because that's not required. We have better than them. Okay. So old, outdated, obsolete concepts we can ignore. Actually we had type also, that's not used anymore. We always prefer using object, map and arrays. Let's see how to handle them. How we can use. So what are these types and how do we deal with them? We will see what is an array. Technically, what is the purpose of an array in computer programming? What is the purpose of an array in computer programming? Store similar type of multiple. No, right? Now I will run this here. It's working. Hence, I proved your definition wrong. Wrong, na? They are not similar type. Huh? They are similar type. Then why you said array is similar type? That means what is the use of array? Store again similar type. Huh? Right? That is not the use of array. That is not the use of array, what you know about array. So I will tell you the correct point. Why you have that definition. Even when you Google what is array, right, it will show the same definition. But the point is, if you say that, is Google wrong? Yes, Google is wrong. Of course, I will prove Google also wrong. Right? Because the point is, in Google, it says that array is a similar type of values. Right? For example, you see, so let's say Google and say what is an array, right? Then it says collection of same data type. Right? But I proved wrong here. Right? So the point is, see, what is the concept of array? Why it is like that, right? Let's see the concept here. Generally, what is the main purpose of arrays? Arrays are introduced into computer programming to reduce overhead and complexity. That is the main purpose. Arrays are introduced into computer programming to reduce overhead and complexity. That is the main purpose of array. That's the main purpose. You should not say array purpose similar type values. Storing similar type values. That is not purpose, because in every technology, array is not similar type values. In every technology, array is not similar type values. In some technologies, array can have different types. That means, then what is the real purpose of array then? That means in one technology, it is storing different types. In another technology, it is storing similar type. Then what is the real purpose of array? The real purpose of array is to reduce overhead. What is this overhead? Overhead means, I will show you one simple concept. What is overhead and why we need to know that? For example, actually earlier in electronic devices, data is stored in a magnetic tape. Earlier in the beginning, data we used to store in magnet tapes. You know, tape recorders, VCR, right? They have a magnetic tape. Songs, videos, every data is kept in magnet tape. Even computers are designed with magnet tapes on. Computers have magnetic tapes, right? So computers in the beginning days, they work with magnetic tapes on, right? That means data is stored in a magnetic tape. What is the specialty advantage of this magnet tape? In this magnet tape, data is stored in a order. Data is stored in a sequential order. And do you know what happens here is, in a magnet tape, suppose you see, usually there will be a head. Tape recorder will have a head. Usually there will be a head. Actually, this head is responsible for reading these values from the tape. Do you know this head will press to the tape from top or somewhere, it will press to the tape. Tape will rotate from one end to another end. That means data is stored in sequential order, and data we read in sequential order, we write in sequential order. Suppose you completed listening to a song. you want to listen the same song again. Do you know you have to rewind and listen? You know that? Right? That means you have to rotate the tape again back and again listen. That means there is no problem in this. So memory is perfect because values are stored in sequence, values are accessed in sequence. The problem started when we started using disks. That means from magnet tapes, we shifted to disk, floppy disk, compact disk, CD, hard disk. When we shifted to disk, then the problem started. Why? Because in a disk, usually the data is stored. In a disk, data is stored like this. In a floppy, CD or hard disk, data is stored in this disk. Disk contains like this divisions. We call these divisions as tracks and sectors. You know, no? They are called tracks and sectors. Data is stored in these tracks and sectors. What many of you people don't know is in these tracks and sectors how data is stored. It is stored like this: 1, 2, and 3. Not spiral. It is not stored in round spiral. It is stored like this. And here it will have 4, it will have 5, and it will have 6. This is the order of storing data in a disk, whether it is a floppy disk or a compact disk or a hard disk. Why it will store like that? Because actually, you see, I will show you a simple background here. See, I will show you a hard disk picture. This is the hard disk internal part. This is the hard disk internal part. Hard disk internally looks like this. This is internal part of hard disk. That is how hard disk looks like. In this hard disk, actually, that is called as, in the hard disk, we call it as spindle. That spindle is used to rotate the disk. And this is the disk. This is the disk. And actually, this is nothing but that is called read-write arm. Read-write arm. This is read-write arm. That means this is going to read and write data into disk. And observe carefully, this arm is fixed now. Right? That means how this arm will move. This arm will move like this. That arm will move like this. Am I right? Like a viper. And how disk will rotate? Disk will rotate round. And arm will move like this. Even your CDs also. If you have a CD tray in your laptop, open. You open the CD tray, you will see a laser light. A laser light will be there in that CD tray. You move it, it will move left like this. Left and right it will move. This is hard disk. Hard disk, floppy, CD, everyone works in the same way. Now what is problem in this is actually, that means how data is stored. Data is stored like this. That means 1. After that data is stored what? After that data is stored 2. After that data is stored 3. Like this data is stored now. Now this is the order of storing data. Like a viper it will do. It's not like gramophone. You know gramophone is spiral. You know gramophone records. In gramophone records you can move the head, you know. You can lift the head and you can place where you want. You see gramophone records, any videos are there. You will observe that the gramophone record will start at the end and come to the beginning and stop, spiral. Hard disks are not like that. Floppies are not like that. CDs are not like that. They use this mechanism. Now what is problem in this mechanism is, problem is nothing but head cannot lift. Am I right? Head cannot move from its place. That means how head is moving? Actually the head is moving like this, in this direction. Am I right? Head is moving in this direction, disk is rotating. right? Now what is problem in this mechanism is very simple. The problem is nothing but, suppose it stored two values, so 6 and 5, and it is not storing 4. That means head stopped after 6 and 5. Then what happens is this place is left empty. That place is left empty. Now next time what happens is the disk comes here. It will see that this is full. Then it will go to next track. It will go to next track and it will store all the data there. After that, it will move to the next track. It will not come this side. That means there is space, but you cannot use it. This problem is called overhead. Overhead means you have space, but you can't use it. For example, in your computers also, you are using hard disk. Do you know your hard disk have this problem regularly? That's the reason in your computers, there is a software called disk defragmenter. You can see it in your computer programs. There is disk defragment. There is a disk defragmenter. This software is present in every operating system. And do you know this software is going to optimize the drives? And see, it is weekly working. That means you every few days in the background it is working. Do you know what this is doing? It is moving all used sectors one side, unused sectors another side. Then space will adjust. Actually, currently you are using Windows 7, 8, 9, 7, 8 or 10 or 11 versions. But before that, when we used to use Windows XP, Windows 98, 95, NT like versions, every few days we have to run this command. If I don't run this command every few days, or you do one thing, there is a disable option for this. Actually, it is frequency is weekly. You open that settings and set as disable. And you will see that after 3 days, your computer starts saying memory full, memory full. But when you see the disk space, you will see that 10 GB free, but you will not able to use that memory. That is the concept called as what? Overhead. What is overhead? Overhead is a issue related to memory, where memory is available on disk, but it is not used. How to reduce this overhead problem? This problem started with floppies and CDs. To overcome this problem in computer programming, they introduced a concept called arrays. How arrays can solve this problem? So arrays can reduce overhead by storing values in sequential order. By storing values in sequential order. If values are stored in a sequence order, then there is no problem. So what is the advantage of using arrays? The advantage of using arrays means if interviewer asks you like, why should I use arrays? Right? You should never say that to store same type values. That means you are telling its behavior, but he asked its use. Why should I use array? You should use arrays to reduce overhead. If I don't use arrays, what will happen? There will be lot of memory overhead issues. Arrays can store values in a sequential order. They can reduce overhead. And very important, how they will reduce complexity is arrays reduce complexity. Reduce complexity by storing multiple values under the reference of single name, under the reference of one name. Array can reduce complexity by storing multiple values under one name. That means actually to store 10 values, you need 10 names. Then now array will allocate only one name where you can store 10 values. But the main purpose is not that. The main purpose is to reduce overhead. Arrays can reduce overhead and arrays can reduce complexity. And very important is arrays can store various types of values. Arrays can store various types of values, but some technologies cannot allocate different types of memory in a sequential order. Some technologies cannot allocate memory of different types in a sequential order. That is the reason they restrict array to same type. Like your Java, C++, .NET. That means the drawback of your technology, you are telling as a definition. Understood? That means the drawback of your technology, you are telling as a definition. Your technology drawback is it cannot handle different types of values in a sequential order. That is your problem. Your problem you made as a definition. Because array is not same everywhere. Your technology have issues. That's the reason your technology have introduced another concept called collections. And JavaScript and other some technologies don't need the collections because it can handle different types. Right? That means to overcome the drawback, your technology added one more library, and that library called collection. I don't need a collection if my array can manage different memory. You don't need a collection if your array can manage. So array is not for similar type of values. You should say that in my Java, array is similar type. In my .NET, array is similar type. In my C++, array is similar type. Don't say array is similar type, because array is not similar type in all technologies. In JavaScript, array can handle different types. In TypeScript, it can handle different types. Right? That means there are several languages where array can be different types. And another point, your technology might have told you that array size cannot change dynamically, but it can change. It can change. Again, that is your problem. Your Java problem. Right? Array size can change dynamically. Your technology have restricted it. For example, see here. So see, suppose I am declaring here where values is equal to some array and its size is 2. In values, I given 0 is 10. In values, I given 1 as 20. In values, I given 2 as 30. In values, I given 3 as 40. In values, I given 4 as 50. How much memory I allocated to? I am storing 5 values. Your technology will say out of range. Am I right? But you see here, let's run this and see here. So that means here you can see it is allowing to change. That means array size cannot be changed dynamically. That is also wrong. That is only for you, your technology. That means JavaScript, that means array size can change dynamically. It can change dynamically. That means its structure can change dynamically. That is why it is mutable. Na? Mutable means it can change the structure. Dynamically, it can change the structure. So, array can store different types of values. Array can can change the size dynamically. But some technologies have restrictions. They cannot store different types of values. They cannot change the size dynamically for array. That's the reason they have to depend on alternative techniques. And alternative technique is collections. But now in JavaScript, one array is enough. It will work for every purpose. It will work for every purpose. So technically, the purpose of array is this. So what is the note? Some of the software programming technologies cannot allocate different types of memory in sequential order and cannot change the size dynamically. So hence they restrict array for similar type of values. Hence they restrict array for similar type of values. So JavaScript array can store various types and can change the size dynamically. That is the point. Change the size dynamically. So the purpose of array is not storing similar type of values. Its purpose is to reduce the overheads. So using array will reduce overhead and will reduce complexity. And here the question is, why it is called array? What is the meaning of word array? What is the meaning of the word array? Without that you finished arrays, huh? What is the meaning of the word array? Array means array. What is the meaning of the word array? Array word refers to what? What it refers to? Array is a type of arrangement. Array is a type of arrangement. Best example for that arrangement is keyboard. Keyboard is having an array of keys. Understood? Keyboard is having an array of keys. Array of keys means keys are arranged in a sequential order. Do you know the sequential order of keys? A, S, D, F, am I right? All keyboards have same sequence, na? Right? All keyboards have same sequence. Will you use in the same sequence? Will you use in the same sequence? No, you use random, na? That is array. Array is a collection of values in a sequential order which you can access randomly. Right? Array is arranging a sequence which you can access randomly. That means, for example, if I say that form a queue, I said that form a queue. Form a queue means you will stand one behind another. Queue. What is the nature of queue? First person will come first. Am I right? I said form a queue. That means I will call first person first. Suppose if I say form a stack, then last person will be first. If I say form an array, that means you stand in a queue. I will call from wherever I want. Understood? That means array is a collection of elements arranged in a sequential order which can be accessed in random. Right? From any place you can access. Array is a type of arrangement. It is a type of arrangement. So technically the meaning of the word array, right? Array refers to a type of arrangement. where elements are arranged sequentially, but can be accessed in random. So array refers to a type of arrangement where elements are arranged sequentially but can be accessed in random. So for example is keyboard. Keyboard is having an array of keys. Keyboard is having an array of keys. That means keys are arranged in a sequential order, but they can be used in random, right? Just like your piano, Casios, all are in sequence, but you can play from anywhere, right? That is array. You generally call as array of keys. So that is the meaning of the word array, right? Now in JavaScript, how you declare arrays, how you store data into array, how you access the data from array, manipulations we need to learn. Declaration is very simple, same concept. That means actually declaring array. So in JavaScript array is declared by using var, let, or const keywords. Declaring array is done by using these keywords, and it uses a reference name for storing values. It uses a reference name for storing values. So just syntactically, var products is that is simple. Var categories like this. Var sales like this. That is only declaration, but declaration is not enough. After declaring, remember, it is just like other variable declaring. Generally, in other technologies, what they do is beside the word, they use a square brace. But here, not like that, just like other variables. But then how it will treat as array? That means declaring array is not enough. After declaring array, so we have to assign or initialize memory for array. Assign or initialize memory for array. That means every array must be assigned or initialized with the memory. Every array must be assigned or initialized with memory. You can initialize or assign memory by using two techniques. You have two techniques. So one is meta character. Another one is a array constructor. We have an array constructor. There are two techniques of initialize or assign memory for array. Array declaration is not enough. After declaring, you have to assign memory or initialize memory. You know, initializing, assigning. That means you have to define like this. So var products is equal to like this, or we can define products is equal to new array like this. This is what initializing. This is initialization of memory. That is the initialization of memory. How to assignment of memory? Assignment of memory means in the first line what we do, products. In the second line what you do, products is equal to square brace. or we can write like products is equal to new array. This is assignment of memory. We have initialization of memory and we have assignment of memory. Initialization means at the time of declaring. Assignment means after declaring, later somewhere you will initialize. But array cannot be used until or unless it is initialized with memory. It will not have an array behavior until or unless it is initialized with memory. Now the question is, what is difference between square brace and new array? What is difference between these two? One is square brace, that is a meta character. Another one is a array constructor. We have an array constructor and a meta character. Why you have two things? What is difference between that meta character and constructor we need to know. And how do we store values, read values, use values? That we will see in next session tomorrow. Right? So in tomorrow's session, we will discuss about completely working with arrays. Array manipulations, array methods we will learn. Storing data, reading data. In JavaScript based technologies, this is the concept which you used in daily life. Arrays and objects are daily life concepts. Everywhere data is present in the form of arrays, array and objects. So you must be very strong in this. So tomorrow we will continue with this. I hope you understood that. Right. Tomorrow we will continue. Okay. Right.